This was a crushing loss for Green Bay. And the number one question is going to be who to blame.
Look, I want to go to because there's so many different things you can point to now, but
and this is the question about number one. Who do you blame? You get one pick. Who's the number one person to blame for this?
The kicker.
Because whoever that is gone.
Yeah. McManus to me gets most of the blame.
The kicker.
Obviously, 55-yarders. It's a long kick, especially in those conditions. You can let that go, but it actually to me it felt like when he missed that kick, I was like, you gave the Bears a smidge there, right? And then they come out and get the stop and score. It's like. So McManus missing the extra point and the kick at the end. I mean, that's what did it, right? They lost by 4 points. Green Bay wins this football game if McManus makes an extra point and a 44-yard field goal.
The Packers, though, they really did all they could. Like, they were playing with fire the entire second half.
Oh,
they
100%.
They did all they could to let Chicago back into the game.
I mean, you have to look at LaFleur, too. And I was getting texts from Packers fans. A lot of our friends who were just saying it's time to let LaFleur go. And that's look at the poll right now. Ziggy, you put the poll out, right? Do you fire Matt LaFleur? It's 67% yes. And at halftime of this game, that made you, like, you heard that question and you're like, yeah, I mean, what are you kidding me? Like,
and he's calling the play where he's throwing a little screen to the offensive lineman and the guy fumbles.
They lost control. I could not believe, Ziggy, when they ran the screen pass on their 5-yard line. Now, I think it had to have been a broken play because Love was running around his end zone and just dumped it off to the offensive lineman. I don't know why you... I have to imagine that was just a broken play where he was an eligible receiver. It just made no sense to me. We'll have to go back and watch it.
I watched it back a couple times. That's definitely what it was. He was just trying to get the ball to someone.
Okay, that makes more sense. But you also look at the end of the game, guys. You have the defense completely out of sorts. You have to blow a timeout. And when obviously that came back to haunt them with the injury, with the 10-second runoff, you come out of a timeout on that drive and you have a delay a game. I mean, it's just things that couldn't happen. And you could see the meltdown coming from really, early in the third quarter. You could see the world where it happened. And Chicago just wouldn't take the bait that Green Bay was saying, please win this game. And Chicago kept making mistakes. Green Bay, was coming up with fourth down stops when they needed it a couple times. And finally, it just caught up to him. And the missed kicks and the complete defensive collapse. I mean, Halfley gets a lot of blame too. How you have no one covering Swift on that little, flat route that he ran late in the game? Like, it was just a complete collapse of the coaching staff and McManus to me.
And I mean, also, like, the Packers offense too, it felt like they didn't even get one first down the entire second half. I mean, they were going 3 and out, playing with fire. Their defense was holding Chicago to field goals, like 21-6, 21-9. It's like you're still in control. But there's going to come a point where the offense has to kind of move the ball, get some first downs. Like, Chicago's going to score eventually, and that's what happened. I mean, it was just an all-around, just total nightmare in the second half on all three sides of the ball.
One name a lot of people in our comments are putting, saying deserves blame, but that we haven't mentioned yet is Jordan Love. So I want to ask, do you think this game is on Jordan Love in any way?
I mean, in any way, you have to a little bit.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, the offense the whole second half couldn't get a first down.
Yeah, he's not in my top 3, right? I'd say Halfley and McManus and LaFleur were above him, but like Love had 4 touchdowns. He had the drive to take the defense completely fell apart. Obviously, Love and the offense not doing anything was a big reason for the comeback in the second half. But I don't blame Love. I don't look back on this game and go, yeah, they have a quarterback problem.
This is my view too. They had no running game. There were a couple brutal drops from receivers. As you say, Jordan Love in the second half struggled, though he got that touchdown to go up 2 scores. But also, I think you have to give him a decent bit of credit for the first half, where he was basically unimpeachable. He got them into field goal range when they needed to get into field goal range, and there were 2 missed kicks. Some people are saying that like Malik Willis should be the starter next year because Jordan had a horrible game. I don't think you can look at any time where your quarterback doesn't turn the ball over and throws for 4 touchdowns.
I actually think Love had a good game. Yeah, I think Love played a pretty good game.
But there is something. I mean, it was backbreaking that their second half possessions were punt, 3 and out, 5 plays punt, 3 plays punt before the golden touchdown.
But I mean, also too, like,
that hurts.
Even on that last drive, like, Love had a good last drive. Reed dropped a wide open ball. Like, the Packers had a chance to go win the game.
I think if Jaden Reed catches that football,
they go and score.
Probably win. They were going to score on that drive. They just ran out of time. But why did they run out of time? Okay, let's take a look at why they ran out of time and what went wrong with that last drive. One, they were down 4 instead of either being down A, 3 if he makes the extra point, or B, tied if McManus makes the kick. Reed drops the pass, obviously. Reed had a nice catch a little bit later.
The injury.
You have the injury, 10-second runoff. Well, you would have had an extra timeout if you didn't blow it, running defenders on off the field being confused. That was another. I mean, they were blowing through timeouts, and you just look. I'm looking at the TV going, man, that with the way this game is going, it could come down to a final drive here. And they had one timeout going into that. And
don't forget the Rasheed Walker false start either on 2nd and 10.
And then you have a false start and you set yourself back and now you're on the 28-yard line or whatever, and there's 7 seconds left. So it's a combination of all those things. And I think you said it, Jack, right? It's the perfect culmination of what this Packers year was, where you're watching this team thinking they can win the Super Bowl, and kind of inexplicably, it all blows up in your face. And a lot of that has to go on LaFleur because that's how the team's been all year. But would you fire him, Ziggy?
Here's the thing. Something has to change this year, right? Going into next season, because Green Bay has been doing this year after year after year. So, what are your choices if you're Green Bay? You can try and get rid of Jordan Love. I don't think that that's the solution. You can try and replace Jeff Hafley as the defensive coordinator. Well, the defense was good all year. And they played well for a lot of this game, despite having injury after injury and not having the best personnel to begin with. You can replace Rich Bisaccia in the special teams. That's certainly going to happen.
Oh, their special teams was horrible tonight.
Yeah, that's certainly going to happen, but that's not enough on its own. And you also have to think who's responsible for the special teams being bad for the past 5 or 6 years. I think the only option to have a big change is to bring in a new head coach. And the offense has struggled at certain points. You need something big to change, whether that's Jeff Hafley becoming the head coach or something else.
Well, they don't want Hafley, dude. After that, they don't want Hafley to be the head coach right now.
Hafley was good for a lot of the year. He will get a lot of consideration, especially because the players know him, and generally he's been a good coach. Someone new is going to be the head coach.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this right now: if you were a Green Bay Packers fan, in the comments, let me know. If I told you right now you could fire LaFleur and you could bring in John Harbaugh and poach Mike McDaniel as your OC, would you do that?
Of course they would do that.
Would they do that? That's just what I'm asking them. Well,
I'm sure.
Obviously,
I'm sure they would.
Obviously, the Mike McDaniel one is a step further. But yeah, would you swap LaFleur for Harbaugh?
LaFleur for Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh's a good. Harbaugh's a good coach. I think Baltimore made a mistake firing John Harbaugh.
It was
you can bring in Harbaugh, who has never had issues getting bounced early in the playoffs of good quarterback play and a collapse of his coordinators and being overly stubborn.
Would you take Hafley with McDaniel as your OC?
Without Mike Tomlin?
I mean, you could. There's a bunch of different combinations here. I was getting some text saying, should we fire LaFleur? And my answer is, you got to take 24 hours. Right after the game, everyone's emotional. That was a very emotional game for several reasons, beyond it just being a playoff game with the teams who were playing, the history of, just this season between them. You have to take a beat. If you polled Packers fans right now, obviously they'd all fire LaFleur. I think you got to take a step back. Season's over. You're in your off season now. You think about what you've been the past, 7 years with LaFleur, however long it's been, and you say, do we think we can run it back with this group and go far?
I mean, it's also
with the injured guys coming back.
Why should you think that next year is going to be any different than what we've seen for the entire Matt LaFleur era?
Well, because you get Micah Parsons back, you're going to get Zach Tom healthy.
But when they had all those players back, all these problems were there too.
Tucker Kraft
will be back. I mean,
Kraft was their best.
They were having baffling losses and huge. This isn't a this year players got injured problem. All of the problems we're pointing to have been problems for his entire 6-year tenure.
They
were problems when they had Aaron Rodgers. They were problems last year. They were problems the year before.
So it sounds like you want him gone. It sounds like you want LaFleur gone if you were a Packer fan.
I think most Packer fans do.
I don't see why things would be different next year when you've seen the same problems over and over again.
I also do think right now, like what you were saying, Paul, it is right now is a heat of the moment type of thing. Is you just got knocked out after blowing an 18-point lead. Like, I'd probably be saying the same thing I'd be like, oh yeah, Tomlin's dead. But like after you have a couple days to kind of relax and calm down, I think it could be different. I think most Packer fans right now will be calling for his head.
I mean, what's the reality of the situation? Is you lost your best player on defense who carried the team. You had offensive line injuries.
Kraft was a huge loss.
You lost arguably your best offensive weapon. Love missed multiple weeks to end the year. I mean, there were just like 7 different things, a bunch of different things that went wrong, and you still made the playoffs, and you were up 21-3. So the question I'd pose to Packer fans is, if you don't get Harbaugh, is it going to be better, you think, if you get, like, what other coach do you really want?
I've got something coming in my earpiece here. We have some breaking news.
Yeah.
They've renamed the city of Green Bay from Titletown to made the playoffs and was up 21-3 versus the Bears on the road in the wild card round town.
I hate to burst your bubble, but they were never even Titletown to begin with.
Look, McManus makes a couple kicks, they kick it, they walk off the game on a field goal right there. That's what happens right here. There were a bunch of reasons.
You're not if you're firing him because he lost the game rather than won the game, that's one thing. But if you're firing him because they've had structural issues for a lot of his tenure and they're not getting better, that's a different thing.
But also, too, like, is it Matt LaFleur's fault that his kicker misses a 40-yard field goal?
And an extra point.
Or that
And is it his fault that special teams has been bad in Green Bay for 6 years and they haven't figured it out?
But is it Matt LaFleur's fault that Green Bay the entire second half on offense can't even get a first down?
That might be a little bit of his fault.
No, but I think a large part of that is is on the players. Like, who's on the field? LaFleur's not playing the game. It's Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs and Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed. And the offense was awful. I don't think that all falls on Matt LaFleur.
It doesn't all fall.
You can't fire Jordan Love.
Well, I know that's the problem.
No, but they need to look. I mean, Bisaccia has been there, and their special teams is horrendous. But things that do fall on LaFleur are the guys being prepared for the moment. And they weren't in the second half at all.
But what doesn't fall on LaFleur is McManus missing a 40-yard field goal. Because if he makes that, you're in position to kick a game-winning field goal. Yeah. Then we're not talking about LaFleur being fired.
Yeah.
I think he gets a lot. He's getting like a lot of coaches do get a lot of unnecessary. Like, when things go wrong, they're the easiest ones to blame. I think that's the case here with LaFleur.
It's a tough decision for the Packers, and it's going to be a prominent piece of discussion for the next week is what's going to happen with LaFleur here. I don't know right now. I would have been shocked again.
Like, is it LaFleur's fault that Jaden Reed dropped a wide open pass on the 20-yard line?
Yeah, and if he catches that, you probably run down the field, you clock it, and you have 40 seconds
what
left.
What if they go win the game? We're not having this conversation.
No,
is it his fault that in the third quarter, when the offense can't move the ball, all he's doing is dialing up deep passes? When you have a big lead,
I think he was bad in the second half.
Yeah, I'm not saying that LaFleur takes no criticism.
Yeah, all I'm saying is just like there's two ways to look at this, and this is what the Packers are going to have to decide. Do you look at this as some freak mishaps happened, and they could have won this game easily despite being one of the more injured teams in the NFL in terms of star power? Or do you look at it as there's been a story the past 4 or 5 years of Matt LaFleur, and we need to try something new, and even if we don't know, it's going to be better. Right? Baltimore ultimately made the choice that despite Harbaugh being a good coach for them for 18 years, they just needed something different. Whether that's going to be better or worse, they don't know, but they had to mix things up if they want to reach the Super Bowl. And I think if you're Green Bay and the expectations are Super Bowl, the way I'm inclined to look at it is that Matt LaFleur has gotten enough chances, and they haven't even gotten very close.
Okay, so Ziggy's had enough. Yeah, like if Ziggy were rooting for the Packers and he was running the Packers, he'd be
I don't think bringing him back is crazy. I don't think that, like, if they don't get rid of him, they're a bunch of idiots and the whole front house should be cleared out for Green Bay. Like, the front office has a tough choice here. But I'm inclined to think, and I've been a LaFleur defender. I said earlier this year that they need to see what happens this year, and people want him fired in the middle of the season. The patterns are just getting harder to ignore every year it happens. And you've got a Super Bowl window. I don't know. I think you got it.
But Ziggy, one question I have for you is, you say they have a Super Bowl window, and we'll get back to that because I want to bring up another Bears thing in a second. But you say they have a Super Bowl window. it has to be the right coach that you can bring in, no? Like, are you having a separate conversation with Harbaugh that's, hey, would you come here if we opened up a spot? Because I just don't know who else. Like, do you want to bring Kevin Stefanski in? Like do you want to bring, I was going to say McCarthy. Like, who are you bringing in? I don't think you want Mike McDaniel coming in here. Like, what coach is coming in that you think will be better for a team that's ready to win than the guy who's been there and has gotten them? I mean, they were a really good team this year that had bad injury luck. And you have to think they win the division if they don't have everyone tear their ACL. So, like, what would you do?
I mean, you're talking about that it's hard to bring in coaches of a track record of proven success. Green Bay's coach has a track record of losing in the first round of the playoffs.
No, I'm saying, like, who are you looking at, though? Because if you just fire him and Harbaugh goes to the Giants, like, where are you turning your attention? Because you have to have a plan, no?
I think there's a plausible argument for elevating Jeff Hafley and bringing in somebody new as offensive coordinator.
Okay. No, I mean, and I know a lot of Packers fans want that.
The Packers, they know what they've got internally. I think if you think Hafley's a bad candidate and you don't like the guys on the market, yeah, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't fire Matt LaFleur just for anybody. But if they think Hafley's an okay guy, or they think like Green Bay is a much more desirable destination than any other team that's available right now.
During the football
Would you rather go to like Green Bay or the Giants, which are widely seen as the best available coaching destination?
Like, coach or live in your
I mean, if LaFleur's fired, Green Bay and Baltimore are, I mean, I think Green Bay is probably the number one place. It's Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay only has to
Baltimore,
really compete
maybe?
with Baltimore.
I also think that there's so many people, and this is the tough life you have as a coach, is people like us. I don't think we quite understand.
No, clearly not.
like how hard it is to not only make the playoffs, but to advance, to win playoff games in the NFL and to go to a Super Bowl. There's only been it's been Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady in the AFC Championship for the last 15 years. And nobody else has been there.
Here's one thing. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
No, I'm just saying, like, it is near impossible. Like, reaching the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl, which is like every team's end goal, is a ridiculously. It's so much harder than a lot of people think. We look at the Packers and Jordan Love's go, like, this team can get there. Like, they're good. Like, they're ready to get there. Getting there is impossible. Only two teams do. So it's like, I don't know. That's the tough world of being a head coach and being in that position.
There was also a stat. Oh, I wish I could remember it right now. Like, John Harbaugh's teams are not, like, those are not the teams to point to and be like, those are the teams that know how to hold on to fourth quarter leads. I think, like, their record was, Ravens have one of the worst records in the league of, like, blowing fourth quarter leads under Harbaugh. So it's just like, you get rid of LaFleur and let's say you bring in Harbaugh, the big fish. Like, that's part of the problem with Harbaugh as well, is his management of fourth. Now, maybe the culture's a little bit better. But I don't think LaFleur is a horrible. Like, I think LaFleur is a fine culture. It's just, they have a problem with blowing these games. I just don't know who you can turn to right now that you're going, yeah, that's the guy I want instead. Because he does a pretty good job. I thought with what happened this year, the Packers did a pretty good job.
I mean, the grass isn't always greener. It's like you have a decent head coach who's gotten you to the playoffs pretty much every year he's been there.
To go back to, like, what Ziggy said, though, there does come a point, and this is the point the Ravens came with Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh as a duo. At some point, you kind of go, okay, maybe this is the ceiling, though. And then maybe it is worth the gamble. Because, yes, Ziggy, you're right. It has been the same story for them. And I mean, look,
they're always the 7th seed. They win at most one game, and that's that.
And I think most Packer fans would agree they're more talented than that. So, I don't know. Gutekunst has a very
always
tough
7th
decision
seed.
here.
Sounds like somebody.
Yeah, sounds like. Well, would you fire Tomlin if you blew a fourth quarter lead?
No.
That's because you have no balls to do it.
Mike, no.
But in Pittsburgh, this is why they're not title town. They're happy with a winning record and making the playoffs and losing in the first round to some nobody.
Did we lose yet? I don't think we lost in the first round. You know what I can't wait for?
You said you had something you wanted to hit on the Bears.
I can't wait for in a couple weeks when Mike Tomlin gets the Gatorade poured on him, takes off his big Steelers winter coat, and he's going to be wearing a shirt that says, quote, "Fire Tomlin."